Alien. One of the most influential sci-fi movies ever made, responsible for not one, but two franchises, in a manner of speaking. But anyway, this comes to us by director Ridley Scott, who has dabbled in sci-fi, historical fiction, and many other genres, and writer Dan O'Bannon, who worked on classics like Dark Star and Total Recall. The latter was sitting on the idea of a Jaws in space since the 1970s, and was finally able to finish a screenplay for 20th Century Fox. Now, Scott actually thought that the work was going to be more like a sci-fi version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but regardless, both had to shoot the movie in a 14-week window due to time and budget constraints. Not too bad for something this rushed. So what made it a fan favorite for moviegoers and critics alike? Well, strap yourselves in, for it's time to encounter the alien. After a couple of wide establishing shots, in space, we get a glimpse at a commercial towing vehicle called the Nostromo. It has this Star Wars feel on the outside, but the inside looks like something from a submarine. The first few minutes are mostly silent, adding a layer of eeriness as you wonder where everyone is, especially once the monitors start turning on their own. So spooky. Then in another part of the ship that actually looks futuristic, we find the 7 crew members awakening from stasis. It takes a while for them to shake off their fatigue, since it kinda lingers on some parts, but once it's breakfast time, they do show a bit of themselves.
What you say, if you got any biscuits over there?
Here's some cornbread.
I am cold.
Still with us, Brett? Anything so bad, man?
Right.
Yeah. I feel dead.
They seem like a nice bunch. I hope none of them die. So the crew is comprised of the captain, Dallas, played by Tom Skerritt, Lambert, played by Veronica Cartwright, Brett, played by Harry Stanton, Kane, played by John Hurt, Ash, played by Ian Holm, Parker, played by Yaphet Kotto, and finally Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver. Oh, and there's a cat on board too, named Jones. Not sure why they have one. Anyway, they're transporting a shipment of minerals back to Earth, and guiding them there is the ship's computer system, Mother, which was responsible for pulling the crew out of stasis. You see, it intercepted some distress signals from a nearby planet, and the team has to check it out in accordance with company policy. And as they disembark, we see how they do their special effects for space travel.
3, 2, 1, go.
Disengage.
Umbilicus clear.
And it looks amazing for the time. Now, it is at around this point that things start going wrong for our space crew, for the moon they're on is strange, to say the least. Beginning with the ship's soft landing that broke something anyway. The crew then sets off to find the signal in these spiffy-looking spacesuits, designed by John Mollo, and had creative input from French artist Mobius, that are a cross between an astronaut and a samurai. And we get a gorgeous shot to show just how breathtaking and dark this world is. They finally reach some kind of alien spaceship that is the source of the signal. But uh-oh, the radio signals get jammed when they get inside. To make matters worse, our crew finds something humongous as they enter the deepest part of the ship. I don't know what that device is or why that alien was positioned like that, but it still looks cool. And just to show how large this thing is, they got Ridley's kids, as well as a kid to one of the cameramen, to play our heroes as they make this discovery. It adds a bit of perspective on just how different space aliens are compared to the human race. And this one only has its chest bursting outward for some reason.
I wonder what happened to the rest of the crew. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's an appropriate response after seeing something like that done to an extraterrestrial corpse. But one of the crew members insists on investigating further. In the meantime, Mother informs Ripley that the signal isn't an SOS, and she's deciding whether to go after her colleagues to share that information. It doesn't matter either way, since Kane drops down into a freaky cavern of some kind. Really beautiful looking stuff. But then...
leathery objects like
eggs or something.
Let's burn them so there's nothing but ashes. Anyone who doesn't do exactly that is the lowest form of fool. But for the sake of horror, I suppose we could touch one. Once.
Wait a minute, there's movement. Seems to have life.
At least Dallas and Lampert were able to get him back with no problems. Besides the thing sticking to his face like glue, Ripley doesn't want to let them in, citing quarantine regulations, but Ash overrules her and lets them in. They start to open the helmet and see— Good Lord! This is the first living alien creature of the movie. This is so gross and good looking too. The design of these smaller creatures came from artist H.R. Giger, and for the creature and the egg involved, they used like a mix of fiberglass, rotten oysters, and animal guts to really make it look like an organic creature born from an actual egg, which is an amazing feat for something done in 1979. But back to the humans, tensions mount as Ripley is still insistent on everyone following the rules.
Regular. All right. Ripley, when I give an order, I expect to be obeyed.
Even if it's against the law?
You're goddamn right!
I guess Dallas would be anti-mask. Getting that thing off Kane will be challenging, since bothering it even a little bit will choke him or rip his face off. About the only good thing that's to be said is that it's keeping him alive somehow. So the crew gently tries to dislodge the thing, only to learn that it bleeds acid that can melt through the hull. Damn. This leads to another argument between Ripley and Dallas. Ripley is obviously asking to throw Kane overboard, since trying to save him will endanger everyone. But Dallas obviously feels some responsibility in keeping each team member alive, despite the shared risks among the rest of the crew. And honestly, it's a situation where both sides have a point. But it looks like the decision to keep or dump Kane is out of their hands. The creature escaped when no one was looking. So where is it now?
Kane? Dallas?
Well, after close examination, the crew does some research to declare that the thing is deader than dead. Ripley then butts heads with Ash over whether to dump the thing, since he wants to keep it around for research purposes. And he's going to have his way, since he's the sole representative for the company that bankrolls the rest of the crew. But arguing aside, the Nostromo can finally take off and leave this godforsaken place. Most of the team thinks the worst is behind them, but Ripley is not so sure about that.
Kane's gonna have to go into quarantine, that's it.
Yes, and so will we.
Well, how about a little something to lower your spirits?
Show me, will you, please?
Oh hey, Kane. Good for you to be back on your feet. Memory loss aside, so I guess everyone can have one last dinner before going back into stasis. Take a good long look at their happy faces, because the troubles they've had earlier is nothing compared to what happens next.
Hey, Kane. You choking?
What's wrong?
Hey, what's
Oh, God!
Damn! These gender reveal parties are getting deadlier by the day. Lambert's reaction here is very genuine, by the way. And soon, the creature takes off into the depths of the vessel. Now, the crew follows Ripley's suggestion to eject Kane's body into space. Next up is the hunt. With a possibly dangerous life form hiding away, one could possibly imagine the team staying together and protecting one another, but since their tracking device has a short range, they have another idea.
I think we should split up. What are we looking for? Clues!
Ripley's group seems to find the creature in a locker, but false alarm, it's just the cat. I'm still scratching my head as to why there is one on board. Brett then tries to search for it, and as he tries to catch it, he ends up finding some more bad news. With Jones as my witness, I can certifiably confirm that Brett got skull f***ed. Make matters worse, his colleagues waste some time to find him. Thank goodness for the blood dripping from his body. Dallas is the next to act after everyone reconvenes. They think the creature is around the air ducts, and he proceeds to climb into them with a flamethrower in tow. The goal is to lure the creature into an airlock where the crew can jettison it into space. And everyone's also hoping that it doesn't sneak up behind their leader and screw him over. But the tracker starts to be unreliable for the humans. It's having a harder time detecting down the creature. Then it shows the life form coming right up on the leader. Better get going, Dallas! Admittedly, it looks a little silly, but we're so engaged with this cat and mouse game that we let the creature spook us where we least expect it. I mean, there's all this yelling and screaming, it's like, oh no, look out, and then surprise! And while we still don't get a full picture of the creature, even these brief encounters still show just how frightening it can truly be. With crap hitting the fan, Lambert is already thinking about abandoning ship, but Ripley quickly rejects the idea since the evacuation shuttle won't hold them all. They have no choice but to find and flush the creature out. But Ash seems pretty chill being stuck with a homicidal life form running around the ship. Ripley becomes super suspicious and goes to Mother to ask what is going on. And sure enough, she learns that Ash had the assignment of capturing one of these creatures and returning it to the company. The rest of the crew served as alien bait. She then confronts him over this as he starts screwing around with her. And wait, what's that color sweat? And yikes, he yanked out part of her hair just like that? The hell are you, some kind of superhuman? Thankfully, Parker stops Ash from choking Ripley with a rolled up magazine. But here comes another twist that they didn't see coming. He's a goddamn robot! They later reactivate his head to get answers, and he confirms what Mother has told Ripley earlier. But how are the humans going to kill the alien now?
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
So it's that powerful, huh? Well, never underestimate the power of human intuition and never giving up when it really matters. Well, time to blow up the Nostromo and head for the shuttle. But first... They then start gathering supplies and making preparations for the shuttle to launch. But while Parker and Lambert are away from Ripley, the alien seems to be closing in on her. I guess the cat is only here to play the red herring of this movie. But don't worry, we do get a much better look at the alien when it hunts down Lambert.
Get out of the way, Lambert!
Now, for the record, the actor playing the alien is Bolaji Badejo, a Nigerian visual artist who made his first, and last, acting debut in this movie. He unfortunately passed away in 1992 from sickle cell anemia. He was cast as the alien because of his size, and as you can see, he gives off a menacing presence just by towering over the other actors. And to think this creature was so tiny and puny before growing up. As for the suit itself, it was primarily made of latex and body plastering. The head design was from Carlo Rambaldi, and he wanted it to share the characteristics of the host from which it was born. This is why the alien has a more humanoid body and a hidden human skull under its translucent dome. It shows that its species is a highly adaptive predator that won't be messed with. Alright, back to the story. Parker and Lambert are then killed. What a surprise, thus leaving Ripley and the cat to fend for themselves. She activates the Nostromo's self-destruct system as she makes her way to the shuttle, only to find that some of her colleagues are all rounded up in this messy interior. Most of them are probably going to turn into alien eggs. And Dallas is still alive, if only barely. Well, after Mercy killing him, she then runs into the alien. She tries to double back to stop the self-destruct sequence that will also kill her, but the option expires just as she was so close to doing so.
Mother! I've turned the cooling unit back on! Mother!
The ship will automatically
done it?
In T-minus 5 minutes.
Well, that was just rude. Self-destruct sequence at 10 seconds. Nah, she's not actually like Hal. They might have androids in the future, but not AI that can think for themselves. Now it's just a matter of kill or be killed. Ripley and the cat make it to the shuttle before the Nostromo blows.
3, 2, 1.
And that's it. She and the cat are the sole survivors. Only thing to do now is get into the stasis pod and go to sleep. Oh, never mind. I guess it was just waiting for her to undress before making a move. So Ripley now has to put on a spacesuit to blow away the alien with gas. She even opens the shuttle's airlock to eject it into space, and fires a grappling hook at the alien as it hangs on. But oh no, it's trying to climb through the exhaust port! Well, f*** you, space alien! That's the last mistake you get to make. And with that, Ripley records her final log entry before going into stasis with the cat.
Dead. Cargo and ship destroyed. I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks. With a little luck, the network will pick me up.
So, was Alien as great as people make it out to be? In a word, yes. It's probably unthinkable today, but at the time, critics were more mixed toward the movie for one simple reason. They compared it to a sci-fi contemporary, Star Wars, without taking into account how these movies are so different despite technically being in the same genre. Alien in 1979 was not an expansive space opera with a large cast of characters living in a big universe. It was a tense, atmospheric, and self-contained story pitting humans in a spaceship against a dangerous alien predator that's out to kill them. And as more critics understood the movie as a work of both horror and sci-fi, the positive reception started to roll in, and rightfully so. The cinematography is top-notch in most places, the character writing is competent, and the actors brought their A-game. Special mention to Sigourney Weaver, who really brought the tough, no-nonsense survivalist Ripley to life. The score by Jerry Goldsmith was really effective in the places it's used, but it's also the absence of music that should really be commended. When there's no music, the movie does a very good job of keeping the audience on edge. And when Goldsmith's music comes up, it can add to that paranoia in waves. Aliens' success would later spawn 3 immediate sequels, one of which will go on to be known as one of the best movie sequels of all time. It then had 2 crossover movies with the Predator franchise, and 2 prequel movies that, well, I don't want to go into. I don't know if I'll do anything else alien related, but that's what Patreon is for. Otherwise, the original film is another fine example of slow and steady horror with likable, competent characters, an awesome monster to fight against, and great atmosphere. Definitely seek it out if you hadn't already. And so concludes the Halloween special, and the season. I'm sorry I couldn't make it any more special, especially with the upcoming WoW expansion complicating things, but hopefully that will be resolved in time for the December reviews. Otherwise, thank you all for being patient with me in these trying times. I hope I don't jinx it, but I'm already starting to feel more optimistic for what next year has in store. Until then, I'm the Media Hunter. Media's my prey, and reviewing them my way.